Welcome to Central Valley Business. I'm your host, Steve Walling. My guest for this segment is Destiny Rodriguez with, is it Climate? It's Climate Center, right? That's what they got?
Yes, that's correct.
I thought it was like Community Climate Center. But anyway, Climate Center, we're going to talk about sunspots and, no, that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about things that are kind of more important. It's kind of been a crazy time, hasn't it, Destiny?
Yes, it has. It's a lot of crazy going on right now.
Yeah, and so let's talk about this Climate Center and how it came about and how it can affect where we're at now if we already had it in place, and how it's going to affect as we kind of evolve into it. So is that a good enough foundation for you to start with? Okay.
Sure, sounds great.
So tell me about it.
So the Climate Center is a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 based in Santa Rosa, but I work and live here in the Central Valley. And what we are trying to do is we are trying to deliver rapid greenhouse gas reduction at speed and scale, and starting here in our home state of California. We've been around for roughly about 20 years now, and one of the ways that we're helping to get this rapid greenhouse gas reduction is through a model called Community Choice Energy.
Okay, so let's talk about this model, Community Choice Energy. Greenhouse gases in California. We probably have a few now, don't we?
We have quite a few, especially here in the Central Valley.
To reduce them, Community Choice Energy is looking at it in what, give me kind of the map, the layout of what Community Choice Energy is looking at right now in order to help reduce rapidly these greenhouse gases that we got.
So Community Choice Energy essentially would be a not-for-profit agency, and how that works is it is governed by local government. It could be the city, could be the county board as well, or a joint powers between the two. But basically, it's an alternative to our current energy provider. And how it helps with greenhouse gas reductions is it focuses primarily on using renewable sources of energy. And by using renewable sources of energy, this helps us to phase out fossil fuels and focus on solar and wind and things that are not, detrimental for our environment.
I've had the opportunity to drive out across the Central Valley. We've got a big solar farm out there and stuff. And going up over to Tehachapi and stuff, I've seen the wind farms and stuff. How is California, and I'm asking this really from a Central Valley position, how are we situated for the potential increase in energy production? What are we looking at? What do we have here that we can, throw in the pot, so to speak, to help us with renewable, non-greenhouse gas producing energy?
So we do have a lot of solar farms in the Central Valley, and I'm glad that you noticed that. A lot of them actually have been commissioned by Community Choice Energy agencies outside the area of the Central Valley, which is really kind of interesting. As a Valley resident, we have a lot of solar, we have a lot of sunshine here.
Yeah, I've heard that rumor.
And because of that, we really are a prime location for solar procurement and solar generation. And with Community Choice Energy, if we were to establish this here, I think that solar would definitely be something that would be further explored. Maybe we could build more on the existing solar we have, or have some other community solar type programs or projects developed. But the really cool thing about it is that the community gets to decide on that. They get to participate in a way where we really don't have that kind of participation currently. You would be able to have a conversation with your city council about how you want your community solar project to look, and how that forms and shapes.
Destiny, how receptive? Because I'm going to make the assumption that you have approached what I'll say the powers that be previously. How receptive has the the local governments, the elected officials, been to the proposals that have been brought to them?
Well, I would say our city council members are interested. They're intrigued by the idea of community choice energy. Prior to the pandemic, we were in conversations of getting an RFP out to do a technical study for this area. For obvious reasons, priorities have shifted. But I'm still remaining hopeful that we can get this off the ground. And I can tell you that Member Luis Chavez, he's definitely an advocate for community choice energy.
Awesome. And again, I want to go back to the idea of it being community choice. That's not just a catchphrase. That's a reality that you're looking to create, that each community has the input, the say, if you will, to make that choice for how their utilization and production of renewable energy is going to come about, right?
Yes, exactly. It creates a lot of transparency because people in the community have every right to go to City Hall and talk to their city council members and let them know exactly how they want this to be shaped. And making sure that we are hiring locally, local unions, and making sure that that this is something that's going to be beneficial for them and for residents.
Now, I have a question that just kind of came to mind. It's something that you might be able to shed some insight on. We talk about community choice, but let's break it down to individuals. You're right. We get a lot of that sunshine stuff here in the Fresno, the Central Valley area. And we have a lot of rooftops that, could, and they do receive a lot of heat, and they radiate that heat down into houses, which means the houses need, to have air conditioning, which utilizes a lot of energy that's being produced somewhere else, that's producing greenhouse gases and all that stuff. But the availability, that's kind of an untapped resource. Now, we think about it from the private sector. My house, my roof, I can reduce my PG&E bill, and isn't that great? But what about the community looking at that as a vast, untapped resource that could, hold solar panels, okay, that would produce not just for the house itself, because we also know that individual homes oftentimes overproduce, and they get to sell that back to the the companies that produce power, or and it's recycled back to their homes at night and stuff. But what if we looked at that and said, okay, that's an available resource that we could create some kind of a program to attack that in a way that it's a win for the homeowner, it's a win for the community. We're producing free, cheap energy, and but that's going to take some large energy producing companies kind of out of the picture too. They may not be happy about that, but it's still a resource that we have, right?
Well, it's definitely a resource in the sense that with community choice energy, it operates on an existing revenue stream. So when you pay, when anyone pays their bills every month to PG&E, that money, those dollars, they leave the local economy. With community choice energy, those dollars make a U-turn, and that revenue goes right back into the community, and those dollars stay local. And that really gives the opportunity of creating community-tailored programs like what you just said right now. That could be a community-tailored program where we help residents that may not be able to afford solar through a program that we can create here at the city. Again, there's just so many opportunities with community choice energy. And one of the things that I did want to talk about was how they're providing relief and aid right now during this pandemic.
Okay, well, let's talk about it then.
So right now, community choice energy agencies are being extremely proactive during the pandemic. And I can tell you that they have been using and donating revenues within their own community choice energy agencies to help their residents and to help communities. And just for example, I can tell you Silicon Valley Clean Energy, they committed 10 million to programs just to provide relief for their customers during this time. Another example is East Bay Community Energy. They earmarked 1 million in relief efforts for their communities, and they're also providing $300,000 worth of grants to community-based organizations, and also made a donation of $70,000 to their Alameda County Food Bank. So this is some examples of things that they're doing.
So here in this area, besides solar, how is the potential for wind production energy here? Do we really have? And I'm totally clueless on this. So serious
No
question.
problem.
Do we really have the wind here that could turn those big fans, those turbines or whatever, to produce energy, or are we seriously just mainly looking at solar production, or is there something else that I'm not aware of?
Well, the way it typically works is not all the energy generated has to be like right here in the county. I mean, it's great when it is because obviously we want to support local solar farms.
Right.
But we, as a community choice energy agency, if the city were to do this, we could purchase wind power from our partners up in the Bay Area, and we can actually purchase from some of their wind farms.
So this is kind of a simplistic way that I'm phrasing this, but we're kind of looking at like a co-op energy production and
Yes.
usage.
Yes, in a way, yes, and it's great too because it actually helps all of the renewable generation sources here in California, which is what the CCAs are doing. The community choice energy agencies, they're supporting these renewable small-scale generation sources and focusing on just trying to keep things local, which is, again, a benefit.
Oh no, that's not just a benefit. That's an awesome benefit. That's a nice big benefit. Destiny, now you mentioned that you have one councilman here that is stepping up and is in favor of this. With the pandemic and the shutdown and all this stuff, I know it's put a crimp in everybody's ability to get things done. How have you and been able to move forward? Do you have are there things in the hopper right now? What I'm trying to say, and is there things when we're not doing this that's just waiting for the door to open for us to move into the next phase? Where are we at with this?
Well, right now we're kind of at a standstill, to be very honest, and again, for obvious reasons due to COVID. But I really do feel that if the community residents, contacted their local city council members and let them know that this is something that they should be exploring a little bit more in that priority.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Hmm.
That's very important. So I want to reiterate this. Our people, our local people, need to, you're sitting at home, you got nothing better to do. I bet you got a cell phone in hand, like a lot of people, and you're maybe poking numbers on it or doing things. You could just as easily take a few minutes and call your elected officials and say, hey, you know what? And so you need people to do that, don't you, Destiny?
Yes, I do. I mean, we need the community and community choice. So if residents are saying this is something that they want, this is something that could benefit them, then their voices need to be heard by the city council and by the mayor.
I do believe, and I think that's a good thing. And I want to encourage people to utilize that phone. And, this pandemic is not going to last forever. Matter of fact, I've got it on good notice that during the summertime, it's probably going to go away. We may have a second wave, but during the summer, we're going to be able to get out in the heat. Let's put this heat and radiant energy to work for us in the community with our community choice. And that's an awesome thing to do. And take some power that is yours and put it into practice by calling your elected officials. That's awesome too. So, Destiny, you're going to come back. We're going to talk more about this. Is there anything else you'd like to get out during this phase of our conversation, I'll say?
Definitely. If people are interested in supporting this model and this initiative and would like to support me in my work in trying to push this forward, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll give you my email. It's destiny@theclimatecenter.org. And also, just really quickly, our organization is also doing a Climate Safe California campaign. You can go to our website, which is theclimatecenter.org /ClimateSafeCA. And I encourage everyone on here to please endorse and support our initiatives of trying to accelerate policies during this time. Because we had a climate crisis before we were in a pandemic crisis, and neither has gone away.
No, sir. Listen, Destiny, thanks for being with us today. I mean it. We'll just make this part of an ongoing series. I want you to keep me up to date. I want to know what elected officials are saying to your organization. Are they interested, or they're not interested, or are they opposed to it? Let's talk, all right?
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being with me today, Destiny. And I'll see you when we come back.